Ethan Cole did not know where he was. One moment he was fixing a bus in downtown Chicago, and the next moment he was standing on a shiny floor, surrounded by creatures he had never seen in his life. He tried to move, but his hands were tied with a soft but strong material that hurt when he struggled. Around him, the air smelled strange, metallic, and faintly sweet, and lights glowed in colors that made him squint. He looked up and saw tall beings with many arms, some with scales, some with smooth skin. Their eyes were large, shining, and alien. A few of them had glowing patterns that moved across their bodies. Ethan's heart pounded in fear. He had read science fiction books, but nothing in his life had prepared him for this. A deep voice called out, echoing in the high ceiling of the place. "Prepare the savage for auction." Ethan froze. "Savage?" he whispered to himself. What did they mean? Savage. A small creature rolled by on wheels, carrying a tray of food that Ethan could not recognize. It smelled like a mix of metal and fruit. A large alien approached him, tall and heavy, with green skin and sharp ridges along the face. Its many eyes scanned him, moving independently. It spoke in a language Ethan could not understand, but the tone was commanding. Ethan struggled again, but the ties held him fast. He realized that he was completely out of control. Panic rose in his chest. He was not used to being helpless, not used to anyone or anything being stronger than him. But this time, it was different. This was not just another human fight. This was life or death. The auction began. Creatures gathered on the upper levels of the hall, floating or walking on platforms. Looking down at him, they made noises that sounded like laughter or excitement. Ethan felt a strange mix of fear and anger. He did not know what he had done to deserve this, why he was here, or what would happen to him. Suddenly, a young alien girl stepped forward. She had pale blue skin, silver hair that shone under the lights, and eyes that glimmered like stars. Ethan could not read her expression, but her movements were calm, almost graceful. She floated toward the front of the crowd and raised her hand. "Stop," she shouted. Her voice cut through the crowd's chatter. "Do not hurt the human. I will buy him myself." The room fell silent for a moment. Then a deep, mocking voice shouted, "Ha! You want to buy a savage? Foolish child, do you know what you are saying?" Lyra, the young girl, did not step back. "I know exactly what I am saying. He will come with me. I do not care what you call him. You can call him savage if you want, but he will not be harmed." Ethan blinked. He could not understand her words yet, but he felt her tone. It was firm, determined, and gentle at the same time. Somehow, he felt safe for the first time since he had been taken. A large alien noble named Tarek Vorn approached her. He was enormous, with blue scales and a sharp jawline. His eyes were like molten gold, and his claws were long and deadly. "Do you know what you are doing, child?" he asked. His voice rumbled like thunder. "You cannot buy this human. He is worth far more than anything you possess." Lyra looked at him straight in the eyes. "I do not care about worth. I care about him staying alive." The crowd of aliens laughed. They whispered among themselves, calling her weak and foolish. Ethan felt a little embarrassed, but he also felt a strange hope. Someone cared enough to stand for him, even in front of a crowd of dangerous aliens. Lyra reached into a small pouch on her belt and pulled out a glowing crystal. She pressed it to a device that floated near her. The device began to shine brighter and emit a hum. Tarek growled, angry, but he stepped back. The energy from the device was strong, and even he hesitated. "I will pay double, triple. Whatever it takes," Lyra said, her eyes fixed on Ethan. "He is coming with me. That is final." The auctioneer, a floating creature with many eyes and mouths, looked confused. "She cannot do this. She cannot purchase a human alone." "Yes, she can," Lyra said. "I will do it now. I will not wait." Ethan did not understand any of the words, but he could feel her intent. She was risking a lot, facing beings far stronger and richer than herself, to protect him. A strange warmth grew inside him. He did not know why, but he wanted to trust her. The auctioneer finally nodded. "Very well, the human will go with her. Payment confirmed. Guards, release him." The straps around Ethan's wrists and ankles dissolved into thin mist. He rubbed his arms, still stunned. Lyra stepped forward and extended her hand to him. He hesitated for a moment, then took it. Her touch was cool and steady. "Come," she said softly. Ethan followed her, still looking around at the strange crowd. He noticed some of the aliens staring with curiosity instead of hostility. Some whispered to each other, glancing at Lyra as if she had done something brave. As they walked, Lyra spoke slowly, pointing to things around them. The words sounded strange, but she repeated them. Ethan listened carefully, trying to understand. It was like learning a new language in a moment. She pointed to a door and said, "Ship." She pointed to him and said, "Human." She pointed to herself and said, "Lyra." Ethan repeated the words, "Ship." "Human, Lyra." Lyra smiled faintly. "Good," she said. "We will travel. Safe." They walked through long corridors filled with lights and strange symbols. Ethan could feel the hum of engines beneath the floor. The ship was moving already. He pressed his hand to the wall, feeling vibrations. He realized they were flying somewhere far away from Earth, far from anyone he knew. Lyra noticed his fear. "Do not worry," she said. "You are safe with me." Ethan nodded, unsure what else to say. Words seemed small compared to what was happening. He had been taken from his world, auctioned like an object. And yet this small alien girl risked everything to protect him, finally. They reached a private room. It was small but clean, with a soft floor and glowing lights. There was a table with food that Ethan could not identify but was edible. Lyra gestured for him to sit. "Sit," she said. Ethan hesitated, then sat. He looked at her. She watched him carefully, her silver eyes shining. There was no anger, no judgment, only patience. He picked up a piece of food, sniffed it, and took a small bite. It tasted strange but sweet, and it gave him a small sense of comfort. He swallowed and looked at Lyra. "You save me," he said slowly. Lyra nodded. "Yes, you are not dangerous. You are human. You deserve to live." Ethan felt a lump in his throat. No one had ever said anything like that to him before. Not in his life. Even when he had been laughed at, ignored, or treated as small, no one had spoken with such care. "Why?" he asked. "Why me?" Lyra hesitated for a moment. Then she said, "Because I saw fear, not cruelty. I see potential. Humans are rare. You are special. You will learn. You will teach." Ethan did not know what she meant, but he felt strange pride and curiosity rise inside him. Maybe he could survive this. Maybe he could do more than survive. Outside, the stars flew past the windows of the ship. Colors and lights swirled in patterns that Ethan could not comprehend. He realized he was leaving Earth behind, leaving everything familiar. Yet, for the first time, he did not feel completely alone. Lyra stood by the window, watching the stars. She did not speak for a while. Ethan ate quietly, then looked at her. "Where are we going?" he asked. "To learn," she said. "To survive it too. Understand each other." Ethan tried to imagine what that meant. The galaxy was huge. He had no idea how dangerous it was, how many creatures were stronger, faster, smarter than him. And yet, standing next to Lyra, he felt a small spark of hope. He did not know what would happen next. He did not know if he would ever see Earth again. He did not know if he could trust anyone else in this alien world. But he knew one thing, for now, he was not alone. Lyra turned to him and smiled faintly. "Rest now. Tomorrow we begin." Ethan nodded. He lay on the soft floor and looked up at the strange ceiling, glowing with moving lights. Sleep came slowly, but for the first time since he was taken, he did not fight it. For the first time, he felt that maybe, just maybe, someone believed in him outside. The alien marketplace faded behind them. The crowd, the auction, the cruel voices, they were gone. Only the stars remained, and Lyra's quiet presence. Tomorrow, Ethan thought, I will learn. Tomorrow, maybe I will understand why this alien girl risked everything for me. And maybe, just maybe, I will find a way to prove that humans are not weak, not savage, and not to be bought. Ethan woke slowly. The soft lights in the room made his eyes ache at first, but the warmth of the place felt different from the cold metal floors he had felt in the auction. He sat up and looked around. Lyra was already there, sitting by a small console, watching him with her silver eyes. She smiled faintly. "You slept well?" she asked. Her voice was soft but carried a rhythm he could slowly understand. Ethan rubbed his eyes and nodded. "I think so," he said. His voice sounded strange to him. He was still learning how to speak in this new place. Lyra's smile grew. "Good, eat first," she said, pointing to the small tray of food that smelled both strange and sweet. Ethan picked up a piece and took a cautious bite. It was soft and slightly warm, and it gave him more energy than he expected. Once he had eaten, Lyra moved closer and held up a small device. It floated between them, glowing softly. "We learn," she said. "I teach you words. You learn. You speak." Ethan nodded. "Okay." "Teach," Lyra pointed to herself. "Lyra," then she pointed to him. "Human," she repeated slowly, emphasizing the sounds. "Lyra." "Human," Ethan repeated, trying to copy her accent. His tongue stumbled over the words, but Lyra only nodded and smiled. "Good," she said. Then she pointed to the tray of food. "Eat," Ethan repeated. "Eat." They spent the next hours in this small routine. Lyra pointed to objects and said words. Ethan repeated them. He learned ship, light, door, water. Each word was a small victory. He noticed that his brain worked differently when he tried to speak her language. It was like learning to see in color after living in black and white dot as they worked. Ethan could not stop looking at her. Lyra was graceful and calm, even in the face of the dangers that had taken him from Earth. He realized that humans often acted without patience, but she had endless patience. She had risked her own safety for him, and she trusted that he could learn and adapt. By the time their lesson paused, the ship had moved far from the alien marketplace. Ethan pressed his hand to the window. Stars stretched into long streaks as the ship traveled through space. He felt small and scared, but the fear was mixed with wonder. The galaxy was huge. Every star was a sun, and every sun could have its own planets, its own life. And somehow, he was here, alive. Lyra noticed his gaze. "You see stars," she said. "You see her beauty. Humans like beauty?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, I like it," he said. "But so many stars. I feel lost." Lyra tilted her head. "Lost is normal, but not alone. You are not alone. I am here." Her words, simple as they were, gave Ethan a strange comfort. On Earth, he had always felt small, unnoticed. Here, in this strange galaxy, he felt that someone cared for him. Someone believed in him. They continued to speak in short phrases. Ethan told her about Earth, about buses, engines, and his life fixing machines. Lyra listened intently. She asked questions, sometimes pointing to a machine on the console and saying a word. Ethan tried to explain, using gestures when he did not know the right word. "You fix?" she asked. "Yes." "Machines, buses, engines," he said. Lyra smiled. "Good, teach me." Ethan hesitated. He had never thought of teaching an alien anything, but he realized that she really wanted to learn. Carefully, he showed her how he would check an engine, how to test parts, how to find a broken wire. Lyra copied his movements, awkward at first, but quickly improving. Hours passed. Ethan was exhausted but fascinated. He had learned about alien tools, and Lyra had learned about human machines. They laughed when she accidentally pressed a wrong button, causing a small spark. She giggled, and Ethan laughed too. For the first time since being taken, he felt a connection. Suddenly, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed. Ethan froze. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Hunters," she said softly. "They know we are here." Ethan's heart raced. "Hunters who? Who are they?" "Enemies," she said. "Tarek Vorn. He wants you." Ethan's stomach turned. Tarek, the alien noble from the auction, was coming for him. The same one who had mocked Lyra's decision to protect him. Ethan felt panic rising. Lyra touched his arm gently. "Do not panic. I will protect. You trust me?" Ethan nodded. He had no choice. Somehow, he trusted her. They moved quickly through the corridors of the ship. Lyra guided him to a small hidden chamber, behind panels that could shift and blend with the walls. Ethan pressed his back against the smooth surface. They will search, Lyra said. We hide. Wait, Ethan's mind raced. He felt trapped, like a caged animal. He wanted to fight, to scream, to run, but Lyra's calm presence made him still. He tried to breathe slowly, following her lead. Hours passed. The sound of footsteps and hovering ships came and went. Ethan could hear the faint vibrations under the floor. He realized that the hunters were searching for them, scanning every corner of the ship. But Lyra's knowledge of the ship's hidden paths kept them safe while they waited. Ethan finally asked, Why? Why me? Why save me? Lyra's silver eyes looked distant. Humans rare, valuable, not for gold, but knowledge. And you are. Alive, you fear, but not cruel. That matters. Ethan tried to understand. Fear matters? Yes, she said. It shows life. It shows choice. You can act, even scared. Her words sank in. Ethan thought about his life on Earth. He had acted many times without fear. But here, facing aliens far stronger than him, he realized that courage was different when fear was real. He felt a small pride, even in his fear. As the hours passed, Ethan began to notice strange things about himself. Small tingling in his hands, a sense of energy when he touched parts of the ship. Lights on the console seemed to respond when he moved his fingers near them. He did not understand it yet, but it felt like he had some connection to the ship's systems. Lyra noticed it too. Human energy. Strong, she said. Unusual. Learn. Control. Ethan frowned. Control. I don't understand. Soon, she said. First, survive. They stayed in the hidden chamber until the hunters finally left. Ethan could hear them depart, the engines of their ships fading into the distance. Relief flooded him. He sank to the floor, exhausted. Lyra knelt beside him. Good, safe? For now. Ethan looked at her, his mind still reeling. Thank you for everything. She shook her head. Not everything. Learn. Survive it then. Understand. The night passed slowly. Ethan tried to sleep, but his mind was busy. He thought about Earth, about his family, about buses, engines, and the life he had left behind. But he also thought about Lyra, about the kindness she had shown him, and about the strange, thrilling feeling of being alive in a galaxy he did not know. When he woke again, Lyra was waiting with the translation device. She smiled. Learn. Continued. Ethan took a deep breath. He felt a new determination. He wanted to understand her, to learn her ways, to survive. He wanted to see what he was capable of in this strange, vast universe. They spent the day continuing lessons. Lyra taught words, phrases, and simple sentences. Ethan repeated them, stumbled, and learned. They explored small rooms of the ship, practicing communication and sharing knowledge. He taught her about Earth tools, and she taught him about alien machines. By the end of the day, Ethan realized he was not the same man who had been taken from the auction. He was learning, growing, and beginning to understand the strange galaxy around him. At night, he looked out of the window at the stars again. The ship moved swiftly through space, carrying him far from Earth. But he no longer felt completely lost. Lyra's presence gave him hope. She had saved him, taught him, and shown him that humans could matter in a galaxy that had long forgotten them. And for the first time, Ethan felt that maybe, just maybe, he could do more than survive. Maybe he could change the way the aliens saw humans. Maybe he could prove that fear did not make one weak, and that courage could exist even in a human labeled as savage. Tomorrow, he thought, we will learn more, and tomorrow, he would begin to understand the strength within himself. The next morning, Ethan woke to a soft hum vibrating through the ship. Light streaked across the walls as the vessel Allura moved through deep space. He sat up, rubbing his eyes, and saw Lyra standing by a console, her silver hair catching the glow of the lights. She looked calm, but her sharp eyes scanned the sensors constantly. Hunters near, she said softly. pointing to a display that showed small blips moving through the void. Tarek's fleet close. Ethan's stomach sank. They found us, Lyra nodded. Almost. They searched for you. He pressed his hands to the floor, feeling small and powerless. I don't know what to do, he admitted. You, follow me, listen, move, Lyra said firmly. Her words were simple, but Ethan could understand the urgency. He nodded, gripping the edge of the floor. Lyra led him through twisting corridors of the ship, stopping at a panel that shifted and became a hidden door. She opened it and gestured for him to enter. Inside was a small, dim room filled with strange, alien artifacts and glowing symbols etched into the walls. Hide, she whispered. They check everywhere. Ethan crouched behind a console, his heart pounding. He could hear the sound of doors opening, distant footsteps, and the faint vibration of ships moving above them. The hunters were coming. His mind raced. He thought about fighting, but he had no weapons, no training, nothing to defend himself. Lyra's hand rested gently on his shoulder. Calm, breathe. Fear is strength if abused. Ethan tried to focus. He inhaled slowly, following her example. The panic in his chest slowed a little. He could feel her calmness like a shield. The hunters entered the ship. Their voices were harsh, rough, almost mechanical in tone. They scanned the corridors with strange devices that glowed as they swept through the air. Ethan's stomach twisted, but he stayed silent. One of the hunters stopped near the hidden room. Ethan could see the shadow of its figure through the thin wall. It reached out, sensing the area with its glowing scanner. Ethan held his breath. The scanner passed over him, and he felt the hairs on his neck stand on end. Then Lyra stepped forward quietly and pressed a button on the wall. A small panel slid down, creating a false wall. The scanner passed harmlessly over it, and the hunter moved on. Ethan exhaled slowly, shaking from relief. Good, Lyra whispered. You learn fast. Ethan swallowed. I think I can do more, he said. His voice sounded small, but there was a flicker of confidence. Lyra looked at him, her eyes bright. Yes, humans can do more. Then think, we'll see. After the hunters finally left, Ethan and Lyra emerged from the hidden room. The ship's corridors were quiet again. Ethan rubbed his hands along the walls, feeling the smooth surfaces, the hum of the engines beneath his fingers. Something inside him was stirring. He noticed that when he touched certain panels, lights would flicker or respond. At first, he thought it was accidental, but then he realized the connection was real. Something in his human biology was interacting with the alien technology. Lyra watched him closely. You feel energy. You can control little things. Ethan frowned. Control? How? I don't know how. Try, she said simply. Focus, think, want. He placed his hands on a glowing console and concentrated. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, a small light on the panel began to pulse in rhythm with his thoughts. Ethan's eyes widened. It works, he whispered. Yes, Lyra said softly. Humans, strange, strong, in ways we cannot understand. Ethan smiled faintly. For the first time, he felt like he had a role. Like he was not just a prisoner or a specimen. He could do something. Maybe even help protect them both. They spent the next hours moving through the ship, practicing. Ethan touched panels, engines, and devices, and each time, something responded. Lyra guided him, teaching him to focus his thoughts, to control the small burst of energy he produced. It was exhausting, but Ethan felt alive in a way he had never felt on Earth. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. Ethan stumbled but caught himself. Lyra's eyes narrowed. They found us, again, she said. Attack, now. Red lights flashed and alarms blared. The ship rocked as energy blasts hit the hull. Ethan could hear the roar of engines and weapons. Outside, Tarek's fleet had arrived. Lyra grabbed his hand. We fight together. You trust? Ethan nodded, gripping her hand tightly. Yes, trust you. They moved to the control room. Lyra piloted the ship with calm precision, dodging blasts and weaving through the dense asteroid field they had entered. Ethan watched in awe as her movements were smooth and perfect. As if the ship were an extension of her body, one of Tarek's fighters managed to get close. Firing a concentrated energy beam at them, Lyra dodged, but Ethan's instincts kicked in. Without thinking, he reached out and touched a nearby energy panel. The lights pulsed and surged. The beam hit the panel, dispersing in a flash of light. Lyra gasped, "You did that?" Ethan shook his head. "I don't know. I just tried." Her eyes shone with amazement. Human power real, stronger than thought. They continued to flee, weaving through asteroids. Dodging Tarek's fleet, Ethan's confidence grew. He could feel the energy in his hands, in his mind, responding to the ship, reacting to danger. He began to guide small systems, helping Lyra evade attacks, shutting doors, diverting power. The hunters realized the human was not just a passenger. They fired more aggressively. Ethan touched the control panel again. The energy surged, creating a barrier that deflected the blasts. For the first time, Ethan felt that he was more than a victim. He was part of the fight. Lyra smiled at him, a rare expression of joy on her face. See, humans, not weak, not savage. Ethan felt pride swell in his chest. The word savage had haunted him since the auction, but now, in the heat of battle, he understood that he could define himself. Strength was not only in muscles or weapons. Strength was in courage and quick thinking, in the ability to act even when fear was real. As the fleet began to retreat, Ethan and Lyra found a safe path through the asteroid field. The ship's engines hummed steadily. Ethan sank into a seat, exhausted but exhilarated. "You did well," Lyra said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Today, you learn more than words. You learned strength." Ethan smiled faintly. "Thanks, Lyra. I think I can survive with you." She nodded. "Yes, together, survive, learn, understand." They spent the rest of the day repairing minor damages and practicing their new abilities. Ethan touched panels, engines, and small devices, gradually learning to focus his energy. Lyra guided him patiently, teaching him to control not just his fear, but his power. By night, they looked out of the window. Stars stretched in long streaks as the ship moved swiftly through space. Ethan felt a strange calm. The galaxy was still, dangerous, but he knew he had something no one expected: his courage, his human instincts, and now, a power that even the aliens could not fully understand. Lyra stood beside him. "Tomorrow, we explore, learn more. But tonight, rest, safe for now." Ethan nodded. "Yes, safe, with you." He lay down, thinking about everything that had happened. The auction, Tarek, the hunters, the strange energy inside him, and Lyra's courage. He realized that humans, even when small and underestimated, could make a difference. He felt hope stirring inside him. Tomorrow, he would learn more. Tomorrow, he would understand the full strength of his human mind and body. And tomorrow, he would continue to prove that he was more than the word savage could ever describe. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt that being human was not a weakness. It was a power that could change the galaxy.